ఏమో వస్తుందమ్మా ఇప్పుడు? Okay, thank you. I think there was some interruption. You see, then now this is just in brief. There is an intermediate mesoderm which is an undifferentiated gonad. Okay, and the undifferentiated gonad doesn't require any special efforts to become ovary. It becomes a testis if the Y chromosome is there with sex determining region Y. If these genes are there, then the undifferentiated gonad becomes testis. Without anything, it becomes ovary. So that's what I mean to say. If one is a male because he has to be a male, female is by default. By default, we are all females. Now, the testis has got Sertoli cells and Leydig cells. Sertoli cells produce anti-Mullerian hormone. You see, this is typical male mentality, human mentality rather. We don't want to better ourselves. The way of bettering ourselves is to suppress somebody else. Like we are seeing our political leaders, how they only talk ill of others. They don't talk ill of their own problems. So what the Sertoli cells does is, instead of promoting male, it ensures that the female system is absolutely stopped with the anti-Mullerian hormone. And subsequently, the Leydig cells, they produce testosterone with testicular differentiation and the male ductal development and testicular descent. Now, one more small this thing, these primordial germ cells, they are endodermal in origin. They take origin from yolk sac. They travel through the coelomic cavity and reach mesoderm. That is primordial gonad. And that gonad, how does that gonad differentiate into testis or ovary? If Y chromosome is there, then it ensures that in that gonad, only the medullary system develops. So, when the medullary system develops, that becomes testis. Now, in the case of, because it has got that primordial gonad has got a cortex and a medulla, the medulla develops, it becomes a testis, and the cortex develops, it becomes ovary. That's why the follicles are, primordial follicles are all located around the periphery. Now, there is some important thing which happens here. Gametogenesis, that is the production of both spermatozoa and also the eggs. Gametogenesis produces these cells via meiosis. So, the advantage of meiosis is it reshuffles genetic material. That's why in sexual reproduction, the variety is more. So, it reshuffles genetic material and halves chromosome numbers. Because at the time of fertilization, the gametes are going to fuse. When they fuse, if they are not made half, the chromosomal quantum is not made half, with each subsequent generation, our chromosomal quantum will keep on increasing. 46, 92, 184 like that. So, this is meiosis ensures that first it is halved, and at fusion, at the time of fertilization, full diploid chromosome complement is restored. In order to attain full fertilization potential, spermatozoa have to undergo maturation in the epididymis, followed by capacitation in the female genital tract. So, as I told you earlier, the vast majority of the embryo's cytoplasm and its component organelles are derived from the egg, the quality of which is therefore a major determinant of embryo quality and hence reproductive performance. Again, I am laying stress on here. Female gender is the most important as far as our future potential is concerned. Now, these are all the, this is a diagram of the uterus, female internal system, fallopian tube, okay, and uterus is the ovary, broad ligament. Anyway, we'll discuss now. Now, what is menstruation? Actually, the definition of menstruation is the periodic and regular bleeding and shedding of the endometrium in ovulatory cycles because of withdrawal of hormones. Now, what exactly happens? I will just cut short. You must have read it in your physiology. So we'll just go through this. What happens is, when the follicle is developing, each time of the ovarian cycle, multiple follicles partake. Only one follicle becomes dominant. It produces maximum amount of estrogen. The other follicles, which are going to be atretic, they are producing androgen. So at the time of mid-cycle, at the time of ovulation, the dominant follicle is the one which liberates the ovum, but all the other follicles, they are producing maximum amount of androgen. What is the role of this androgen in a female? Now, you see, this is nature's creation, nature's miracle. Androgens are responsible for libido both in the men and women. So the nature has ensured at the time of ovulation, that is the time when the female has got the maximum potential for conception, or the only potential for conception. So that's why the nature has ensured that the androgen levels are high at that time. Okay, then ovulation takes place. After the ovulation takes place, for the fertilization, and why the menstruation, if the ovulation has taken place and the pregnancy has happened, the zygote, that is along with the corpus luteum, the ovaries corpus luteum, it takes the responsibility of maintaining the endometrium. Okay, so there will not be any menstruation. Whereas if the pregnancy doesn't happen, the corpus luteum regresses after 7th day from ovulation. So that leads to menstruation, because there are no hormones and there will be withdrawal of hormones and menstruation will be there. What is the purpose of menstruation? Menstruation, the basic purpose of menstruation is to ensure that the endometrium is always kept ready for reception of a new blastocyst. And if the previous